then you have to be divorced.
Could I move on with my life?
In what way?
Just move on with my life?
Well, you certainly can, but I mean, you might have some obstacles if you're in Monroe.
Yes, I am.
All right, and then do we have Blaine Clark with us? Is that Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Okay. So I should probably make an inquiry here. And I don't know that it changes anything, but I think in fairness to Mr. Monroe, should we place this on the record? Mr. Monroe, can you hear me? Apparently not. Mr. Monroe? Does anybody know, does he have hearing issues? Mr. Monroe?
Yep,
Can you hear me?
yep,
Okay. So this is a divorce case, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Miss Monroe is the plaintiff.
Yes.
So I don't know if this matters, but I want to place it on the record. Miss Monroe, could I ask you, are you usually at 10:30 St. Patrick's?
Yes, I
Back
am.
left side, right?
Yes, I am at the
So Mr. Monroe, I want you to know, I don't know Mrs. Monroe at all. I've probably had given her, shaken her hand with peace before,
Yes,
but I'm
yeah.
a back left side kind of St. Pat's 10:30 guy too. So it's not that I know her, but certainly there could be an appearance of impropriety as we attend the same church and she's a pretty regular member there, probably more than me.
I'm not really a member, but I just like going. to
You
St.
do like
Pat's.
going, you seem to know a lot of people there.
Yes, I do.
All right. So does that change anything for you? Would you like a different judge? Have you been listening to anything I said?
I can't really hear you.
Okay.
I have my sister.
All right. So what a hearing device? Do we have a hearing device?
She's my lawyer.
Yes.
Do you think that would help?
A hearing device.
Yep,
All right. So why don't you guys have a seat at that table? We'll see if we can get the hearing device, and then we'll call the next case, which is Gross versus Gross, and that is scheduled at 1 o'clock.
Here.
Okay, we'll go. Now, Mr. Monroe, can you hear me now?
yeah,
Is that device assisting you then? Is it helping?
yeah,
Okay, so what I was saying earlier is your wife, I recognize from St. Patrick Parish, okay? She a lot of times sits in the back on the left-hand side. I like to sit in the back. I'm not particularly right or left, but usually left-hand side. I don't know her other than her face, and I can place it at St. Pat's. So I put that on the record just to let both sides know her face is familiar to me, and I know that it's from St. Pat's. Does that change anything for you? You want a new judge?
I don't understand that stuff.
Well, that's okay. All I'm suggesting is some people might say, well, if she goes to a church where he's at, then he's not going to be fair to me. I'm going to be fair to both sides, but I always like to place more information on the record than less. So if you're uncomfortable at all and you think I might not be fair because I see her at church once in a while, then I'll assign this to Judge Krieger and she can hear the case. Or if you're comfortable with me, I'll move us to the next step today, whatever that might be. What would you like to do?
I guess, I don't know.
Well, I don't know either. So what would you be most comfortable with?
My sister, my lawyer,
Well, your sister can't act as your attorney unless she's an attorney.
she knows everything.
Is she an attorney? Is your sister an attorney?
Carol Craven,
Yeah, is she an attorney?
she's here.
So are you able to still hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear her, but
All right. And are you maybe daughter? If you want to come up here, if you speak right into his ear, do you think that would help? I would have let you translate. And while you're walking around, am I right to assume that the sister's probably not an attorney?
No, she's not an attorney.
All right, so she can't speak for him. All right. So can you ask him by speaking in his ear whether he wants me to proceed or not?
Yeah,
Okay. So today is a date and time scheduled for a pretrial conference.
Yes,
All right. Really, today, I would just ask where you guys are at. Have you sort of sat down and gone through a judgment? And if not, what are the sticking points? So you can ask him that.
yeah.
So,
Well, how about this? Let me start with your mom. Okay. So I generally would just start with the plaintiff. So there's several issues in a divorce that have to be resolved in order to finalize that divorce. Real property, so that you have real estate. Personal property, so pots and pans, clothing, cars, that kind of stuff. Okay. Retirements, that sort of stuff. So let me start with Miss Monroe. Where do you think you're at with that?
I have given him stuff, I got stuff out of my car that he can have,
Well, hold on. But when you said give him stuff, so we're talking about personal property, right?
like his clothes,
Yeah.
a chair that his friend
Okay.
got for him on Christmas.
But from your perspective, and then I'll ask him,
Okay,
do you believe that you have resolved the property issues, meaning that you're gonna have what you would like and he can have what he wants? Do you think that is resolved, or are you guys in disagreement with that?
I would say disagreement.
Okay.
Because of the car and the house.
That's okay. So then let's move on. We'll check that we've got a disagreement about personal property, okay? Do you own any real property, real estate, meaning houses, land?
No,
No ownership of that,
No.
okay. Do you have any minor children?
no,
Okay, all right. So, are you requesting spousal support?
yes, I am,
You are,
yes.
okay. And is he agreeing to pay spousal support? Okay, so we have a disagreement, so we'll preserve that. Is there debt that has to be resolved that the two of you cannot agree on?
Yes,
Okay, and can you help me out? Is it mainly in your name, his name, or both of your names?
I would say most of it's in both of our names.
Okay, is that probably in the form of credit cards?
It's, the car, the house, the car.
So hold on, you just told me you don't own any real property.
No, I meant our own house ourselves,
You two own a home together?
yes.
Okay, so you do have real property.
Okay.
So meaning you're not renting that from
No,
somebody?
we were buying it together,
Okay.
and I've been making the house payment.
Okay, so there is real property that has to be figured out. And is the title to the house and then two of your names, or just one of you?
What it is, the loan is in his name, which I've been paying on.
Uh-huh.
The deed is in my name.
All right, perfect. Okay. Is there equity in the house? How long have you been paying on this one?
Since 2010,
10, so probably, right? So you
Yes.
got 14 years of payments.
yes, September 2000.
Okay, so then that means we check the box for debt and real property. Now, I see you guys were married in 81, is that right?
Yes,
All right, so this is a long-term marriage. I assume during that time that one or both of you were working and
both of
probably.
us was working at the time.
Okay, so here's the next question then. Retirement, so that can be in the form of a pension or 401k, it can be both. Are you two in agreement as to how those will be split?
Well, I don't get a 401k.
Uh-huh.
He did, but we withdrew it out so I could pay off some.
So it doesn't exist anymore?
No, well, he gets like $30 or I don't know, but he keeps like.
Okay, so Does he have some sort of pension that you're aware of?
Social Security,
Okay, well, that's not retirement.
disability.
Okay, where did he work, if he worked?
He worked at Moore, up to Big Rapids. He worked at American Bumper,
Okay,
Which is now Ventra.
which is
yeah,
now.
so either one of those places, did he have a pension?
Did you know?
That's right, yes.
Okay, and is he still receiving a
No.
check for that?
No.
What happened to that?
He,
Yeah,
it turned into 401k,
And then you guys withdrew it?
yes,
Okay. So his only source of income now is Social Security?
yes,
All right, and do you have any retirements out there?
just my social security.
But I mean from a private employer.
No,
All right, so we don't have to check that box, but it's not something that you two have to worry
Right.
about. Okay. All right, so guys, what we have then, without even talking to defendant here, you have 4 issues you've got to resolve, okay? The personal property, the real property, meaning the house, how it's gonna be disposed of or who gets it, and then who gets a portion of that, all right? The debt associated with the house, and then spousal support, okay? So those are things that the two of you have to figure out together, okay? If you can't, what I can do is I can send the two of you to mediation. It's gonna cost a little bit of money. And then you can sit down with a mediator, and that's their role, is to sort of listen to both sides, take all the information that you have. And that would chiefly, from what I'm hearing, and you can, I'm gonna let you say something here in a minute, even though you're not representing either one, but what that chiefly means is they're gonna wanna know, what is the value of this house you have together today? What's the outstanding mortgage obligation on the house today? And then therefore, what kind of equity would be in the house today that could be divided? Okay. And then they want to hear, what kind of personal property do you have that you're in disagreement on, right? They don't have to decide and waste their time or your time on, if you're agreeing that he's gonna get his old grandfather's shotgun and you're gonna keep your grandmother's tea kettle, right? They don't need to hear about that. They only want to hear about, okay, here's the property that we can't agree on. And then how do we
It's mainly because I've been paying on the house
Mhm.
myself, and I've been paying on the car myself, and that's mainly what.
Mhm. You two both live together still?
No,
Okay.
No.
Where do you reside?
I live at 920 Lions.
Okay, is that the marital home?
That's, yes, that's the.
Where does he live?
Michigan,
Okay,
So he lives very far up north.
up north.
oh yeah, who does he reside with?
He resides with Carol Craven. His
The sister?
Yes.
Gotcha, okay, and how long's that been going?
Since September 18th of last year.
Of last year, okay. So there is something, I'm just gonna throw this out there, I can't give you legal advice. There is such a thing called separate maintenance, and it's just like a divorce, but it's not a divorce. But in essence, it allows you two to just continue to do what you've been doing. Because what I'm hearing is, I'm a little confused as to, if you've been living apart anyway, why can't that just continue? Is there a
Okay.
reason you have to be divorced?
Could I move on with my life?
In what way?
Just move on with my life?
Well, you certainly can, but I mean, you might have some obstacles if you're planning on getting remarried or something like that.
Okay, now what about like the bills, like the loan for the house, the loan for the car?
Well, you can work all that out, like, in separate maintenance, you'd have to decide that, or you can go through with a divorce and then decide it yourselves. But what I'm hearing, if you're comfortable taking that on and staying in the marital house, and he's comfortable where he's at, then you just take the house and all the obligations, being the debt associated with it. I don't know anything about the car, whose name it's in, that kind of thing, but if you can agree with that, whoever keeps the car keeps the debt obligations associated with it, generally.
Even though it's in his name, and I make one car payment.
Yeah, if you're gonna keep it, then we would just do an order that says he'll sign a title over to you. If that's what you guys wanna do. I don't know if that's what you wanna do. Okay,
Because I'm responsible for all the bills, and it has put me behind. I've had to ask for help on these bills.
sure. Sure.
And I don't like doing that because I've been going through, it's hard on me, and it feels like I've been going through. Just,
So I assume that you are not working, you're retired,
yes,
and he's not working, he's retired. All right, so that really puts you guys in a tough spot because we're now taking what was a one household, divided into two with very little chances of increasing the income to the two parties, which is, in essence, you're dividing your pie twice and it's gonna seem very small to both of you. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. How about if I put this on, I don't know, a month from now? I'll give you guys some time to talk about this, work through it. And let me ask you this before I go any further, because I have no idea. So this young lady who's talking to dad, is she also your daughter?
yes,
All right. so
daughter-in-law.
Oh wait, daughter-in-law.
Yeah,
All
she's
right.
married to my son,
Yeah.
yeah, right back.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is son a product of your marriage?
Yes,
All right, so daughter-in-law, and I hate to ask questions like this because I'm not trying to make anybody
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
right,
Are you on good terms with her and your son?
yes,
Is she on good terms
Yes.
with? All right, so they can act as sort of a middle person for now, if we have to. All right. So what I would suggest is you can sit down, the four of you, work through. Let me ask you this: where did you get the complaint for divorce? How'd you get that? You're representing yourself.
I went through the
The library. Okay.
library.
Here's why I asked. As part of that packet, and this will help all of you guys, there should be a document titled Judgment of Divorce, and it's usually 2 pages or 3 pages in length. That's going to walk you through these topics I was just talking to you about that's in my schedule. Personal property, real property. Make sure that you aren't leaving anything out, okay? So it will prompt you, much like a board game, that when we get to, this corner, we've got to address the real property. And then if there's debt with it, we've got to address this. And it sort of gives you the topics you have to resolve and keeps you focused, okay? So if you can find that document, wherever you put the rest of them, okay, it will walk it through you or walk you through it. And so if you two know this, I think it will be useful and helpful. Now, what I'd like.
About his responsibility for paying half of the bills, seeing we were married 42 years in August.
Well, I'm just gonna tell you, this is gonna be a tough thing to cross, because here's what happens in these situations. I see it all the time, especially with folks at your age, and that sounds like probably limited income now. If one or both of you want to stay in the house, that means that generally it becomes really difficult, because then one person is generally saddled with all those bills, and it's almost becomes impossible. And what often has to happen is the court orders the house be sold, all your debts paid, and then you divide whatever equity might be left. Same thing with the car. If you can't decide that, generally what we would do is sell the car, hope that whatever debt is associated with the car can be retired, and then split those proceeds. That's a bitter pill to swallow, because both of you then don't have a home, and probably, depending on the equity that you have in the house, probably not enough to even put a down payment on someplace else. So you're kind of in a tough spot, unless you have like $150,000 in equity in the house. But I'm guessing from 2010, that's not the case. So these are thorny issues. I wish I had an easy answer for all of you. There just isn't one, other than sometimes we just stay married and go live separate lives. And I hate to give that advice too, because that's not a great thing either. People want to move on in life, and short of going out there and getting back into the workforce. And I don't know what's going on with Mr. Monroe, but he doesn't look like a guy able to get out into the workforce. So I don't know. But here's what my suggestion is, because I want to keep you here all day. How about if I adjourn this 30 days? That'll give all of you 30 days to see if you can work this out, okay? And all it is, and I recognize it's a big hurdle. When I say all it is, it's just resolving this issue. What you're gonna do with the house, what you can do with that personal property, the car, all of that, in the manner that makes best sense for you. If I could give the two of you a piece of advice, and maybe sister, daughter-in-law and son, what I often tell people that are going through the same thing, the only way to resolve this is to find an avenue that you both can live with, even if it means, in my best example, plugging your nose. Because ideally you want everything that you can that you can think of, and he probably wants everything that he can think of, and some of that's going to overlap, okay? But you can't go out of a divorce generally with everything that you want. So the key is to enter into these discussions with the idea, I'm going to plug my nose and find a resolution that I can live with. And you'll both have to do that, rather than the alternative is, if you can't, at some point you end up with a trial with this stranger in a black robe. And the easiest thing for me to do to be really fair to both sides is just sell everything and you divide it, the money, right? And nobody, doesn't sound like anybody wants that, but that's the easiest way to be fair to both sides. It doesn't mean we have to go that route, but it really, and I hate to take a long-term marriage and say this, but divorces really come down to a number. How do we divide things equally as best we can? It doesn't always mean it's to the penny equal, right? If you've made all the payments on the house for all these years, there's probably an argument that you ought to get most of the equity in the house, okay? But you guys got to figure that out, instead of I'll have to figure it out if you can't. And then maybe when I say go into it plugging your nose, if I have to figure it out, then you both might regret that, because instead of finding a resolution you had to plug your nose and live with, you might have a resolution imposed on you by the court that both of you hate much more than what you could have learned to live with. And that's just sort of the reality of divorces, where they're long term and you don't have a lot of assets to go your separate way. So 30 days, we'll come back. If you don't resolve it, then what I would do is probably make you go to mediation and see if we can get a professional to help you, but that's gonna cost you a little money. And nobody wants to spend more money, right?
No, because I can't do that. Don't
Right,
have
well, what I would do
money.
is I'd make you divide, okay? So, I'm gonna set this out 30 days, I'm gonna give you guys a date right now.
We're on vacation, but you're gone then.
Let's go 2 more weeks out, that'll give them a little bit more time.
2 more weeks, we could do Tuesday at 1:30, the 16th of April.
Tuesday, 1:30, 16th of April. I'll see you guys back here Tuesday, 1:30, 16th of April. I got people in the audience writing, and just one. Is she someone you all agree on that will share that date with everybody? Tuesday, 1:30 in the afternoon, the 16th of April. Okay, before we go, I'll start with you, the plaintiff. Do you have any questions about anything?
I just want it done and over with, and I wanna keep the house in my car.
I get that, but sometimes that doesn't always, it might not be possible. Again, I don't know a lot about their situation, but we'll have to see. Do you have any questions that maybe your dad might have? Okay. Let me ask you this, because you seem to be the one that might have the most information. I could do something called taking in the proofs, and you guys all watch this. And it's something that we have to do in every divorce case, where I'm gonna ask, you know, were you a resident of the state of Michigan or any county? And if I do that, and then they get this resolved, you can reduce it all to writing and then just submit it to the signature and you'd be done.
Okay.
If I don't take the proofs today and they get everything resolved before that next date in April, then you're still gonna have to come back to take the proofs.
Okay.
So I like to be an optimist, and I'll take the proofs today if you guys think that that would be helpful, and then nobody has to come back again, assuming you can work this out and reduce it to writing.
You think we can work things out with side of court?
All right, so let's do this. So what I'm gonna do then, Miss Monroe, I'm gonna ask you to stand up, raise your right hand, and we'll have you sworn.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
All right, you can have a seat. So, Miss Monroe, these you probably heard these questions earlier of other people and they sound kind of obvious, but we have to go through the exercise. So you're Mary Ann Monroe and you're currently married to Blaine Clark Monroe, is that right?
Yes,
You were married to him on or about what date?
August 15th of 1981.
All right. Immediately preceding your filing of complaint for divorce, have you been a resident of the state of Michigan for 180 days?
Oh, yes, my whole life.
All right. Have you also resided in Ionia County for 10 days?
Yes,
All right. Were there children born or adopted of your relationship with Blaine?
yes,
They're all adults now, I assume?
yes,
All right.
one.
All right. And then I have to ask this question, seems silly. To your knowledge, are you currently pregnant?
No.
All right. Has there been a breakdown of your marriage relationship?
Yes,
Is it to the extent that the objects of matrimony have been destroyed?
yes,
Any reasonable likelihood your marriage could be preserved?
no,
All right. Court is satisfied from the proofs that there has been a breakdown of the marriage relationship to the extent the objects of matrimony have been destroyed. There remains no reasonable likelihood the marriage could be preserved, and it may be ordered the judge that the parties be divorced from the bonds of matrimony in accordance with what is agreed upon by the parties along with other standard terms and conditions. So with that, we've got our date that I'll see you all back, but if you get this resolved, you reduce it to writing in that judgment of divorce, should be in your packet. You both sign and date it. Just have it brought to the clerk's office. You probably could even email it. And then it'll come upstairs for my signature. Once I sign it and send it back down to the clerk's office and it's entered, then you're officially divorced, okay? You just have to resolve those issues we talked about. And again, that document will walk you right through them, okay?
what about spousal support or will they?
That's one of the issues. Now, what I'm hearing is that might be a tough one because where is he gonna draw the money to pay you spousal support? Right. All right. So I'm gonna wish you all good luck. You're all set for today. If you don't resolve it, I'll see you back here in April, okay? Yeah, oh, just hand it up here. Thank you.
Before we forget.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
So how about, I don't remember what we did. Is Gross, anybody here on Natalie Gross or Jason Gross? Come on up. This is 23S 36210DO. All right, do you guys have a proposed judgment of divorce? Still signed and dated. Okay. So then now